Good evening, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society bringing you our nightly update. And if I'm quiet enough, you might hear the cat. It's the whole reason that I am kind of disorganized and running behind a little bit because this thing has he has been very, very clingy this afternoon. I think he knows how upset I have just been over this whole situation. Because you really, at the end of the day, I just want everybody to be safe. I don't want anybody to lose their life. And tied for the strongest ever known storm to make landfall in the Atlantic Basin. Yeah, it's tough. So we do have the 5 p.m. advisory out, and we also did get a brand new global tropics hazards outlook that was released today. So we'll go over that as soon as we get through all of the particulars for Melissa, specifically now for the folks that are next in line with Melissa. Currently, we are located at 18.5 north, 77.7 west, about 15 miles east of Montego Bay, Jamaica, and about 200 miles southwest of Guantanamo, Cuba. Maximum sustained winds 145 miles an hour. Present movement is north northeast at 8 miles an hour or at 25 degrees. Minimum central pressure down to 921 millibars. I will say that this is kind of uncertain, and we'll see. In the National Hurricane Center mentions that in their discussion, we won't really know exactly what the storm is and how much weakening took place until this reconnaissance mission, this one, 26, took off and came right back. But 25 is on its way into the storm and will be approaching here shortly. And that'll give the National Hurricane Center an idea of exactly what's going on and the best information real time right there on the spot. With this advisory, the Meteorological Service of Bermuda has issued a hurricane watch. So now we still have a hurricane watch in effect for Jamaica. We also have, or a hurricane warning. I apologize, a hurricane warning in effect for Jamaica. We also have a hurricane warning in effect for all of eastern Cuba and the southeastern and central Bahamas. We have a hurricane watch now in effect for Bermuda and a tropical storm warning for the entire country of Haiti, the Turks and Caicos Islands, and the Cuban province of. I never made that phone call. I do apologize. That location right there, I'm not even going to try to embarrass myself here tonight. So now that we have our hurricane watches in effect for Bermuda, that's the last one in line. So everybody rush all preparations to completion, please. We've seen enough today. We really have. I finally had to break away from some of the news coverage. I honestly, I just started watching news coverage or listening to it. I couldn't watch it. Just listening to news coverage out of Jamaica. I did share that to the TWTS Hurricane Group. So if you guys are interested in it, you scroll up and you'll find that coverage is going to run round the clock, at least that I am aware of. I do know that it will run to at least 10 p.m. They're rotating news anchors. So 4-hour wind with our hazards affecting land. Damaging winds will continue across portions of Jamaica through this evening, especially in mountainous areas. Remain in a safe shelter in Jamaica through tonight. Tropical storm conditions are spreading across eastern Cuba, with hurricane conditions expected in the hurricane warning area starting tonight into Wednesday morning. Tropical storm conditions are expected in Haiti tonight and Wednesday. Hurricane conditions are expected in the southeastern and central Bahamas on Wednesday. Tropical storm conditions are expected and hurricane conditions are possible in the Turks and Caicos Islands on Wednesday. Hurricane conditions are possible on Bermuda Thursday and Thursday night. For our rainfall, Melissa is expected to bring an additional 6 to 12 inches across Jamaica, where storm total amounts will be between 12 to 24 inches. Isolated areas near 30 inches will be possible over mountainous terrain. Ongoing catastrophic flash flooding and numerous landslides will continue through tonight. So that's not, likely or probable. They're telling you that they will continue and that they are ongoing. For eastern Cuba, storm total rainfall of 10 to 20 inches is expected through Wednesday, with local amounts to 25 inches expected over mountainous terrain. This will cause life-threatening and potentially catastrophic flash flooding with numerous landslides. Over the southeast Bahamas, storm total rainfall of 5 to 10 inches is expected through Wednesday, which will result in areas of flash flooding. For the Turks and Caicos, rainfall totals of 1 to 3 inches are expected. Heavy rain may begin to affect Bermuda Thursday night. Over southern Hispaniola, an additional rainfall of 2 to 6 inches is expected through Wednesday, with the storm total local maxima of 40 inches of rain from Melissa possible. What an event, folks. I mean, it's heartbreaking. On the northwest coast for storm surge of Jamaica near Montego Bay, there is the possibility of 2 to 4 feet of storm surge above ground level. Storm surge flooding on the southern coast of Jamaica should subside tonight. There is a potential for significant storm surge along the southeast coast of Cuba late today or Wednesday. Peak storm surge heights could reach 8 to 12 feet above normal tide levels, near and to the east of where the center of Melissa makes landfall. This storm surge will be accompanied by large and destructive waves. Minor coastal flooding is possible in bays and inlets along the north coast of eastern Cuba. Storm surge of 5 to 8 feet above normally dry ground is possible in the southeastern Bahamas on Wednesday, and 2 to 4 feet above normally dry ground in the Turks and Caicos Islands on Wednesday. Minor coastal flooding is expected along the coast of Haiti. And as always with the surf, stay out of the water. Not with this one. We've had enough problems with this one. The 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time forecasters discussion. The eye of Melissa made landfall in western Jamaica near 17Z, with the maximum sustained winds estimated at 160 knots or 185 miles an hour, and a central pressure near 982 millibars. Since that time, the hurricane has been weakening over the mountains of western Jamaica, with the eye disappearing and some warming of the convective cloud tops. Based on these changes, the initial intensity has been reduced to a highly uncertain 125 knots. NOAA and Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft are scheduled to investigate Melissa this evening to provide better information on how much it has weakened. It should be noted that while Melissa's landfall intensity is among the strongest ever recorded in the Atlantic Basin, it will take extensive post-analysis to determine exactly where it ranks among landfalling hurricanes. That, to me, means that this could be upgraded even further in post-storm analysis, especially with some of the dropsons that the reconnaissance missions were getting just prior to landfall. And the lightning was immense. We had an enveloped eye wall lightning. This could very easily outrank, and it may very well be possible, outranking the 1935 Labor Day hurricane for the strongest landfall ever recorded in the Atlantic Basin. I mean, we'll see. But in my opinion, with some of the dropsons that we saw, obviously we don't have dropson data from the 1935 hurricane, but if we just look at the 219 knots that was recorded from a dropson just above the surface, and all of the 200 knot readings that we saw, even from yesterday, to me, it's really got a chance. I'm almost certain that someone somewhere on that island today received a wind gust of 200 miles an hour. Now, if the data comes through, and when the data comes through and shows exactly what occurred, then we'll know for certain. But in my mind, seeing all that dropson data and all of the wind, and I'm going to show you guys what the last 24 hours of microwave imagery looks like that or on Melissa prior to landfall, and that's disgusting. I've never seen anything ever like that, ever. Even with watching a lot of the Westpac storms, I don't ever recall anything like that, ever. I really don't. So the initial motion is now 25 knots at 7, or 25 degrees at 7 knots. A turn towards the northeast with an increase in forward speed is expected this evening, and this should bring the center near or over southeastern Cuba late tonight or early Wednesday. After that, an even faster motion up toward the northeast should bring the center through the southeastern and central Bahamas on Wednesday and near Bermuda Thursday or Thursday night. After passing Bermuda, the cyclone should continue quickly northeastward into the North Atlantic. The track guidance envelope has shifted a little to the left, to the north and west, through 72 hours since the last advisory, and the new forecast track during this time has also shifted a little to the north and west. While the center of Melissa is now emerging over water, it will probably not re-intensify significantly before landfall in Cuba due to the limited amount of time before landfall and an upper level wind environment that is becoming less favorable. Based on this, the intensity forecast calls for little change in strength before Melissa reaches Cuba. After leaving Cuba, Melissa should encounter increasing southwesterly vertical shear that should cause gradual weakening, although the cyclone should still be at hurricane strength when it passes near Bermuda. Based on global model guidance, Melissa is forecast to become a strong extratropical cyclone over the North Atlantic by 96 hours. As you can see here, 3 more days of having to deal with this nightmare, with a whole bunch of folks feeling the impacts. The forecast track, as we could see here, still very strong winds here on Jamaica. That is very evident also looking at satellite. I took the 6-hour mesoscale loop, though there's 240 images here, and I've got it on an automatic refresh. So it just shows the immense power. And now some of the colder cloud tops moving back in over the island from the north as the storm reemerges over the warm waters of the Caribbean. So rainfall and significant flooding is still ongoing down here in Jamaica. Please, folks, stay sheltered. Like the National Hurricane Center has asked, just please stay sheltered. We've had enough today. I'm sure we don't want anybody to get hurt. Yeah, we don't. All right. Our hurricane warned areas are highlighted in the red, as you can see here. Tropical storm warnings highlighted in our purples. Turks and Caicos, Haiti, back here towards, getting a little further inland than the entire southeastern portion of Cuba. All of these islands, I've got the Bahamas pulled up here. I'll show that momentarily. And then as we go up the line, Bermuda also under a hurricane watch. Looking at the spaghetti plots, as we could see, Bermuda right there. So it's not, maybe it won't be a direct hit, but a close enough impact to where hurricane watches are definitely warranted. And as you can see, very tight clustering here. So the track on this is pretty much set. Now all we have to do is wait for it to execute that forecast. The only reason that I kept this up is to show, for one, the 12Z Deep Mine, how tightly clustered all 50 models are, ensemble members, and Bermuda being right here. But it's just the fact that I really wanted to show this because looking at this where it initialized while the storm was 896 millibars, that right there, that's one of these screenshots and pictures that I will definitely save, just as a like, wow, look at that is absolutely unbelievable intensities. And speaking of which, well, we'll get to it here momentarily. Our wind speed probabilities. Montego Bay. Now, I want to make sure that I highlight this for folks because this is the result that you never want to see. This is when you know that you have received all of them. Montego Bay, 99%, even in the first column right here. Hold on, let me get my crayons out. This is what is currently ongoing. 99% all the way down the line, whether it be our tropical storm force winds, our 50-knot winds, or our hurricane force winds, all at 99%. That's how you read these. If your percentages are going up, then you know your risk is increasing over time. This is why it is important to check back with the new updates from the National Hurricane Center. If you look at these products that the National Hurricane Center provide, you can determine whether your risk is increasing or your risk is decreasing. Perfect example. Take a look at Kingston. We have been talking about Kingston and Montego Bay for days. Kingston now only has the 99% chance, which was obvious, of seeing the tropical storm force winds. So Kingston themselves and quite a few of the live feed cameras have been spared. But can't certainly say the same for the other side of the island. They have not been spared. They have taken critical damage. So Our wind speed probabilities for further up the line. Guantanamo Bay, you are at a 74% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds and a 4% chance of seeing those 50 knot winds. Grand Turk, you have come way down in your tropical storm force winds. You are now looking at 13%. Mayaguana, 77% chance of tropical storm force winds, 11% chance of those 50 knot winds, and a 3% chance of seeing those hurricane force winds. Now, how things change for San Salvador. 94% chance of seeing those tropical storm force winds, 71% chance of seeing those 50 knot winds, and a 49% chance of seeing those hurricane force winds. Your winds have been increasing, and your probabilities have been increasing quite a bit. And now that we are 91 or 94% on the tropical storm force winds, and the 71% on those damaging 58-mile-an-hour winds, all preparations need to be rushed to completion. Great Exuma, 70% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds, 26% chance of seeing our 50 knot or 58-mile-an-hour winds, and a 10% chance of seeing our tropical or hurricane force winds. For Bermuda, an 85% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds, a 46% chance of seeing those damaging 50 knot or 58-mile-an-hour winds, and a 21% chance of seeing those hurricane force winds. Your values have also been increasing as we go forward. Our forecast advisory. Now, the reason that I want to show this is, yes, we do have an extremely powerful hurricane is expected to be into parts of Cuba with these winds, but I want to highlight this because this is our hurricane force wind field. Our hurricane force wind field, if you were to draw a circle, and then you were to take lines in, segment this circle into 4 quadrants. At this point, that's how you read this. So you're 30 miles in the northeastern quadrant. Keep in mind, you have the center of circulation at the same time. Then 30 miles extending outward in the northeastern quadrant, 25 miles extending outward into the southeastern quadrant, 20 miles extending outward into the southwestern quadrant, and 25 miles extending outward to the northwestern quadrant. That's how you read these. That's how you understand these. Now, obviously, for greater values, let's erase this. For lower wind speeds, that was our hurricane force winds. Now, if we look at, say, our tropical storm force winds, now we see that it is 160 miles out to the northeast, 150 miles out to the southeast, 70 miles to the southwest, and 90 miles to the northwest. When we read all of these, what we are looking for is exactly where the wind field is. And if you notice, we don't have an explosion in the overall wind field itself, although as it is making its extratropical transition, the wind field will continue to expand. As you can see here, all the way through. I was highlighting all tropical storm force winds, and through time, as you can see, the wind field will continue to slowly expand. Now, by the time that we get here, we know Bermuda, you're going to be well in between this zone right here, so it will be passing you from there. And then even after it makes its post-tropical, extratropical transition right here, the wind field on this continues to expand. So it's they take all of this to figure out exactly what your probabilities are to see those types of winds. This is a part of the wind speed probability, and it is also, they do this great thing where they take all of that information and apply it to this nice colored graphic. Tropical storm force winds. Oop. No, that's not going to show up. This is our tropical storm force wind field right here. This color is our 50 knot or 58 mile an hour wind field. And then this is obviously our hurricane force wind field. So hopefully, people can better understand these particular graphics and text products for themselves. This way you can look at the information that the National Hurricane Center provides and be able to make a determination on exactly what your risk is. All right, our 2-day rainfall forecast. This was just issued by the National Hurricane Center here at the 5 p.m. advisory. We will get our next update. Oh, that's white. We are never going to see that. We will get our next update here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. For the folks getting up here into the Bahamas, you are still into the lower confidence. Turks and Caicos, you are not. How much in and around the core is still yet to be determined. They're really going to want to see what it looks like as this comes off, or at least begins to interact with Cuba. For our friends in Cuba, very, very serious situation here. We are talking about a widespread 8 to 12, potentially isolated, 8 to 12 inches widespread, 16 inches potentially there within our red shaded area, with isolated locations that would see potentially greater than 16 inches, potentially even getting up well above 20 through the overall duration of the storm totals and the rainfall. For our friends down here in Hispaniola, it is finally starting to lighten up a little bit. We are looking for the mountainous terrain there in the Dominican Republic, still potentially 4 to 6 inches or 100 to 150 millimeters. And we are looking at the rest of here, southwestern Haiti, getting into central portions of Haiti, maybe potentially another 2 to 4 inches, along with other areas here into the southern Dominican Republic. So please, folks, just a little while longer. Hold on. Our key messages, these have obviously changed due to the update after kind of exiting, at least the core of the storm beginning to emerge off of the northern shore of Jamaica. Key message number 1 for Jamaica: remain in a safe shelter tonight. Damaging winds will continue over portions of Jamaica this evening. Catastrophic flash flooding and landslides are expected across the island tonight, with widespread infrastructural damage, power and communication outages, and isolated communities. So, folks, stay sheltered. The ground is not going to be stable after what it has taken. It's taken a beating today. Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Catastrophic flash flooding and landslides are expected across southwestern Haiti and southern portions of the Dominican Republic during the next day or so. In Haiti, extensive damage and isolation of communities is likely. Tropical storm conditions are expected later today and Wednesday. For eastern Cuba, heavy rainfall, flash flooding, and landslides are expected soon. Life-threatening storm surge and damaging winds are likely to begin later today. Seek shelter. Well, safe shelter. I would just say seek shelter now. For the southeastern and central Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos. Hurricane conditions, life-threatening storm surge, and heavy rainfall are expected across portions of the southeastern and central Bahamas on Wednesday. Complete preparations by tonight and follow local official guidance. Tropical storm conditions, heavy rains, and significant storm surge are expected in the Turks and Caicos Islands on Wednesday. For Bermuda, hurricane conditions and heavy rainfall are possible in Bermuda beginning Thursday or Thursday night, where a hurricane watch is now in effect. All right, I'm going to show you guys something that I found very interesting here from the University of Wisconsin's real-time track products. For the folks that watch us all the time, you guys see this quite often. It's a very good reference. But I want to show everybody this. This is the last 24 hours. And this is a microwave imagery of Erin as it was making its landfall and final approach. And folks, just for those who do understand what that is kind of showing and what that represents, that is probably the most disgusting landfall impact excuse me, of microwave imagery I think I have ever seen. To where all of a sudden, right before it reaches the coast, all the way up until landfall, that thing just, it blows up in ferocity and intensity and the reflectivity on that. It's unbelievable what this has become. Unbelievable. This is I am floored with this. Yes, SpaceX. Yes, ma'am, Miss Betty. SpaceX definitely has free through November for all of Jamaica and the Bahamas as well. This is unreal. All right, let's check on our recon. What do we got? You want to tell us something? 4. The northwestern eye wall. Oh, wow. That's weakened. Tremendous weakening. Tremendous weakening. Let's check our colors. Wow. Whoa. This may be down to a Cat 2. Not a Cat 4. Do we have a highlighter? No. Wow. Flight level winds only at 90 knots. This might be... This may be a lot weaker. Still got some low pressures. We'll have to wait and see how much it rebounds, but boy, these wind speeds, especially coming off through the northeastern eye wall. Wow. Yep. We'll be back to this momentarily. Let's see. It is at 22 and we're 30. Ooh. Let's hit the refresh. We did get a new one. starting to make a turn, gonna fly up towards southern Cuba here, and I would imagine kind of along the coastline and maybe back down. They're not gonna fly with this storm over land, but we could see certainly that wind speed of hurricane or strong, extreme strong tropical storm force winds, and a couple little hurricane flags here with the purple out here. So some extreme winds, I'm sure, not extreme, but some very, very strong winds are occurring over the open waters there. But wow, did Jamaica take a shot for the for everybody else? It looks like. Wow. All right, folks, make sure, again, follow your official sources. We've got Cuba here with their advisory. Let's see, we can hit, yep, they just released a new advisory. So please, as far as the Bahamas are concerned, again, follow the official sources. They are giving out all types of information. And again, we've got Bermuda here as well. And tropical, flashing, hurricane watch. So please, take things seriously. So let me go over here. Let me drag this in. We had our new global tropics hazards outlook come out today, and they want the potential to see the Western Caribbean potentially has a 20% chance of development. This is not funny. Not funny at all. Was expecting and hoping that Melissa would end up kind of slinging a bunch of dry air down there and pretty much turning the tap off on the basin. It does not seem that it is going to sling it through far enough, and it is going to leave it to kind of hang around on that back side, which is very, very unfortunate. So we may, 20% chance here, folks, not much at all, as you could see. Greater than 20, less than 40, I'm going to give it 20. Opportunity of seeing development there in the Western Caribbean. And again, if we push it out 10 days, you've got what, 1, 2, 3, 6%. With something trying to spin up down here off the coast of Panama, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua. Maybe. Taking a look at the GEFS, we'll push it out 10 days. GEFS is usually ultra aggressive out here. As far as the Western Caribbean is concerned, they don't have much. And if we look at the Euro AI, has absolutely nothing. And if we look at I don't know what's going on with Google DeepMind, but if we do look at Google DeepMind and we run it forward, we don't even see a blip. I mean, you get that, but that's just more of a kind of that bug feature, because you could see the little dots where they're going to appear before they appear. So, I mean, there's no colors there. If I show you that it is not, totally lost its mind, the Euro wants to have a little something, as you can see here. Very, very, very low probability on that, though. And last but not least, we've got to talk about this pathetic thing out here. This is Tropical Storm Sonia out here into the Eastern Pacific, as you can just hear the excitement in my voice. I was hoping that this would have become a remnant low by the 5 p.m., but no, I have to make sure that I still have to mention that this thing is out there. It's located at 15.3 north, 124.3 west, maximum sustained winds of 40 miles an hour, currently moving west-northwest at 9 miles an hour with a minimum central pressure of 1,004 millibars. That's all I'm gonna say about it. No. And for jumping out into the Bay of Bengal, we have Tropical Cyclone Mantha. At first, when I first opened it up, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it said Mothra, and I was what? We've got Tropical Cyclone Mothra. Like, oh, that's a good way to scare the life out of everybody on the shoreline. Like, next thing you know, we're gonna get Tropical Cyclone Godzilla. Like, it's King Kong. And like, oh wow, check this out. But no, Mantha. I did get a good chuckle out of myself for that kind of double take. Like, what really? 40 knots, minimal tropical storm, 45 miles an hour, and as you can see, forecast to move inland and rain itself out and weaken over land. And Invest 92A, still keeping an eye on it. Really hasn't done much. It's there, but it's not. And for the folks into the Western Pacific, please keep an eye out for the wave train. I've seen some ensemble members that want to make things go absolutely crazy, and then others that show nothing. So just like a weak, broad area of spin. But there are some in the long range that where we may have to turn our attention over to that end of the basin here soon, because there could be something quite significant out there. And before I go, let me go to the MJO so everybody can look at that. As you could see, still stuck on the other side of the planet. So not really expecting it to work its way back around here in the near future. And that's kind of why, for me, it's like, I'm not too sure about that whole situation there. Showing the CAG getting itself organized and trying to develop. I'm not sure about that at all. Yeah, Betty. Yep, it certainly does. Knowing Mothra shows our age. It certainly does. Like I definitely remember those old, especially the Japanese ones. Look, we're starting again. This is why I keep this. I've been staring at this while I was at the computer trying to get things set up. I pull this onto the other monitor and I just watch this thing roll. It's starting to emerge from the coastline, and look at those cold cloud tops. And now it is trying to redevelop that center. So for the folks there in eastern Cuba, please take cover. Reconnaissance is going to be critical to this. It's definitely taken a beating coming off the island, but then looking at this presentation here with the infrared satellite and the way in these last few frames right there, how it blows up. And we'll take this back down to our normal 90. This is usually what I have it on. And as you could see, that those last few frames, it's starting to get its act together. But now this time, the center of circulation is much wider, which should lead to a significant reduction in wind speed, because you need the tight symmetrical eye. It's like a figure skater. Right now, the figure skater would, if they bring their arms in, they spin real fast. Well, obviously the figure skater, Melissa, had her arms pulled in all the way and, pointed up over her head like some of the figure skaters do, spinning as fast as possible. And now they've kind of brought their arms back down and kind of stuck their elbows out. So it certainly is still a very, very influential, a very, very atmospherically influential and very active system. But if the eye develops or the center of circulation has that type of width, it would be extremely difficult to get this thing to really, really ramp up again in maximum wind speeds. All right, everybody, that's about all that I am going to try to cover here tonight. It's been a long day. It's actually been a long week. I know it's going to be an even longer week for these poor people in the line of Melissa. Though I will be back to take care of the 11 p.m. advisory tonight. I will be back at 10:45 p.m. Eastern, 9:45 Central to go over what we've got. I'm not going to stop doing what I was doing, at least through, I would say, at least through tomorrow. I know I'm going to do an early morning one tomorrow, and probably I'll do an afternoon one tomorrow, and obviously our 6 p.m. live tomorrow night. From there, we'll have to wait and see exactly where this storm is at that point in time. I may not do a 11 p.m. Live tomorrow night, but then we'll probably do say 2 on Thursday for the folks there in Bermuda to make sure that they get the information as well, because it'll all depend upon the timing of that, as how many on Thursday, as it is on that final approach to Bermuda, how many can I get in, honestly, before it actually makes passage. Because as soon as it makes passage, that's pretty much going to be it. I would imagine that the National Hurricane Center wouldn't wait too long after that to write it off, which Halloween is Friday, I do believe. And yeah, and at that point, that is it's kind of set up to where it'll be, Melissa will eventually come off the board there for Friday, and Halloween was the last of our every single night, last day of our every single night lives. So starting November 1st, we're going to switch back to our 40%. So if anything is out there, then we'll go live. But we're not going to go live every single night because we're into November at that point in time. It's really, really hit or miss. If something is there, we will be there for certain. And then I will begin working on our trivia questions for our end of the season special for everybody to participate in if they wish. So, all right, everybody, I will be back in about 4 hours. So stay safe, folks there in Jamaica. We love you. Hearts go out to you. The cavalry's coming. I know of a lot of folks that are ready to deploy, and shout out to all of them folks that are going down there. So we'll be back, and we'll discuss exactly what kind of changes and whether what kind of organization Melissa has attained over the next 4 hours. So we'll talk to you then, folks. Bye for now.